She's been the voice of generations, the perfectionist who never missed a note, the icon who rarely named names. But now, at 83, Barbra Streisand has decided to tell the truth. In her own words, clear, calm, and devastating, she finally reveals the 7 legendary musicians she once dreamed of collaborating with, but ultimately had to walk away from, not because of jealousy, not because of ego, but because sometimes brilliance doesn't blend, it collides. This isn't a list of enemies. It's a record of heartbreak, of chaos behind the curtain, of silence in the studio. Barbra didn't name them to attack them. She named them because she earned the right to finally say what so many artists never do. Genius without generosity, isn't genius at all. I didn't want to write about any of them, Barbra admitted, but I did. When her memoir was published, no one expected this chapter. In it, she names 7 artists, each one legendaria, who left a mark on her career, not through collaboration, but through conflict, disappointment, and creative breakdown. It wasn't bitterness, it wasn't gossip, it was clarity. For a woman who built her legacy on precision, emotion, and honesty, this was her final, unfinished symphony, the story of the music that never was. In the late 1970s, the idea was bold. Streisand and Bowie, 2 icons, 1 studio. But from the start, Barbra described it as like chasing a balloon in the wind. Their styles clashed immediately. She sought emotional arcs and structure. He drifted through sonic atmospheres. I need connection, she said. I need to look across the room and see someone meeting me halfway. With David, I was chasing shadows. There were no completed songs, no released tracks, just silence, and yet no bitterness. He was a genius, she said, but not everyone's genius plays well with others. When Prince entered her orbit in the late 80s, Barbra was curious. He was fearless, electrifying, a fusion of funk, gospel, rock and something magical. They spoke on the phone, exchanged tapes, imagined a haunting orchestral ballad, but it never got off the ground. Prince spoke in riddles, sent unlabeled cassettes with ambient sounds and no explanation. When a studio was finally booked, he didn't show the excuse. He was in the middle of something spiritual. That's when Barbra realized, you don't collaborate with Prince, you orbit him, and I don't orbit anybody. The music never happened, but the admiration remained. You can look at a star, she said, but that doesn't mean you can reach it. In the early 1990s, Barbra envisioned a stripped-down album, something acoustic, honest, and raw. Eric Clapton, with his emotional guitar work, seemed like the perfect fit. But when he walked into the studio late, detached, sunglasses on, something felt wrong. Barbra had prepared a blues-tinged ballad with space for his soulful guitar and her voice, but Clapton barely acknowledged the sheet music. Just play the track, he said. I'll figure it out. To her, it wasn't improvisation. He wasn't rude, she said, but he wasn't present either. Eventually, a producer admitted Clapton never wanted to be there. That was the sting. Don't show up if you don't respect the process, she said. No tracks were used. The project died before it began. Barbra thought the idea was revolutionary. Her vocals paired with Miles Davis' moody, improvisational trumpet. But what she hoped would be a musical dialogue became a silent standoff. He showed up late, refused to speak, refused to engage. He didn't want a partner, she said. He wanted control, or nothing. She tried adjusting her phrasing, suggested they explore Gershwin or Cole Porter. He shrugged her off, called it museum music. And then, in the middle of a take, he walked out. No words, just the sound of a door closing. She was still singing. He was a genius, she admitted, but he lived in his own world, one where there wasn't room for anyone else. The idea seemed legendary. Frank Sinatra and Barbra Streisand together in the studio, but she described it as suffocating. He dismissed her arrangements, changed the key mid-session, refused to rehearse. He didn't collaborate, she said, he dominated. There was no partnership, only pushback. And beyond the music, there were comments about her appearance, her voice, her so-called difficulty. He was old school in a way that didn't age well, she said. The session collapsed before it ever got going. They never returned. We were oil and water, she said. Iconic, yes, but combustible. The media loved the idea. Streisand and Madonna to women who ruled their decades. But to Barbra, it was always a hard no. We're both strong, she said. But there's a difference between strength and steamrolling. Madonna, she said, was abrasive, disruptive, unfiltered. At a private dinner in the 90s, Madonna critiqued everyone's work, including hers. She told me I was too precious for pop, Barbra said. That wasn't a compliment. Their styles clashed. Streisand builds carefully. Madonna explodes boundaries. She's a powerhouse, she said, but we don't belong in the same room. Barbra didn't share these stories to shame anyone. She shared them to tell the truth. She wasn't naming enemies. She was naming energies that couldn't connect. Genius doesn't guarantee chemistry, she said. What she needed, what she always searched for, was presence, respect, and creative generosity. These 7 artists, in different ways, reminded her that even brilliance can become noise without harmony. Now, at 83, Barbra Streisand says what most artists never dare to. Some forces don't mix. That's not failure, that's reality. She doesn't regret the attempts. Only the loss of what could have been. But what she never lost was her voice, her clarity, her craft, and her courage. I don't say these things to be harsh, she said. I say them because they're true, and I've earned the right to speak my truth. In the end, she's not tearing anyone down. She's simply lifting the curtain on the music that never was.